So it turns out the Raid Scout Rifle Trustee is quite a monster for a number of reasons. Number one, it is by far the best feeling 260 in the game. I know, I've got some Randy mains right now that are just slamming that dislike button. But as someone who has been in love with the many different roles of Black Scorpion, trust me, it's a hard thing for me to accept as well. But Trustee really is a phenomenal feeling scout rifle. Now, a couple things going on here. First up, this is the Raid Scout Rifle. The only way to get this scout rifle is from the Raid. And I know not everyone gets out there and does a raid, and that was some of the complaints in our Succession review, but they're good for a reason, right? Like, these are raid weapons. It's a great thing that they're also good in PvP. Now, big shout out to Les for allowing us to actually get on his account and play with a few roles, as well as Jordy today, as there were a few roles I wanted to test out. Number one, what traits are better, Surplus or Zim Moment? And number two, high impact reserves. Does it allow this scout rifle to 4-tap? Turns out it does. So let's go and start working backwards on this one. High impact reserves, guys, essentially elevates the damage on the bottom half of your magazine. And there's a few things that you can do to manipulate this in a few ways and allow you to proc high impact reserves a little sooner. A lot of us, you'll see us in gunfights, we'll be shooting our gun before ever entering the gunfight. This is actually us priming our weapon to proc high impact reserves so that we can go ahead and get that extra benefit there in damage. A couple ways to manipulate this, though, is of course backup mag. This elevates our magazine, thus allowing us to actually proc high impact reserves sooner. Another way to do it is just with a magazine trait: appended mag, tactical mag, extended mag, etc. I will say though, my experience, backup mag was just the better way to go, as everything seemed to be capped out at about 20. Now, there are some traits that even elevates your magazine size even beyond that. For instance, reconstruction. This weapon actually allows you to double the capacity of your magazine. This was going to be a godsend perk for what we're trying to do here with high impact reserves. But it appears Bungie has already thought at least far enough in this scenario, because reconstruction does not actually proc high impact reserves, meaning the default magazine size of 17 would double up to 34. So therefore, if I prime the gun down 17 shots and it's at its final 17 rounds, shouldn't high impact reserves now proc? No, it's unfortunate. So just, erase it from our minds. In theory, reconstruction high impact reserves sounds like a beautiful thing, but it doesn't work. But let's talk about that sexy 4-tap. First up, time to kill wise. This is a 260 round per minute scout rifle, and they all sit at a beautiful 0.93 second time to kill value. That's just a little bit better than meh. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad, but it ain't good. Where most rapid fire scout rifles make up for this is the fact that it just has a sheer amount of rapid fire potential, thus resulting in these scout rifles just peppering their opponent to death, which is why we give these weapons the term dueling. As in, the weapons don't necessarily look that great on paper, but in real dueling situations, they do shine. And in Trustee's case, yes, this scout rifle absolutely peppers enemies to death. 3 crits, 2 bodies, that's all that's needed. Lots of forgiveness there at 0.93 seconds. Sounds good? Hold up, fellas, it gets even better. With high impact reserves, this does elevate the damage up a little more. Instead of 47 damage per crit, this actually goes up to 49. Now, there is some rounding. It's not exactly 49, so let me just give you the numbers. Say I got a 20 round magazine due to either like a pendant mag or backup mag being applied there in our mod slot, which is what I would suggest. I go to the final 10 rounds, and upon immediately proccing high impact reserves, Trustee here is actually able to secure the 4-tap on Guardians, 6 resilience or less, which is actually a lot of Guardians out there outside of a crazy couple Titans. I like to rock high resilience, we live yet again. But in this scenario, 6 resilience or less Guardians, you are about to get 4-tapped in 0.69 seconds, which I gotta say is pretty fast. You don't have to proc anything here. You don't have to proc kill clip, no rampage, no nothing. This is you peek with a sniper rifle, I peek with a scout rifle, shabam, you're dead in 0.69 seconds, which is quite nice. And considering that this weapon is a scout rifle and a rapid one at that, there are many opponents that will misjudge this scout rifle and say something like Elim or Trouse. Like, when we look across the landscape of weapons and time to kill values, the only other weapons that can reach a 0.6 something time to kill value, or in this case a 0.69 second time to kill value, is actually high impact pulse rifles. But if I had to choose a weapon type that would be easier to land all crits with and secure a kill, I would probably go with Trustee more. Understand that this is, of course, a very specific thing we're trying to do here with Trustee. Not everyone wants to use a scout rifle like this. It's an all or nothing thing. I mean, how many people want to actually prime their scout rifle down just to secure a kill and 4 crits. You gotta be crazy. I know some of you are crazy though. I'm that kind of crazy. I would actually do it before every gunfight. I'd be like, go ahead and chew this scout rifle magazine down just a little bit. There we go. I will say, if you are on the opposing side of this and you start hearing a trustee just shooting into a wall from across the map, you might want to be ready to just dip in and out of cover as quickly as you can, or in the least, rock high resilience. Now, we've outlined how beautiful high impact reserves is, but maybe you just want to choose a trustee that feels good. This surprised me even more than trustee's 4-tap potential. First up, I tried a Zen Moment opening shot combo, which sounds beautiful. This should have been the roll. Look at this thing. Look at it. This is the kind of roll that you're supposed to close your eyes, start firing, and when you open them, everyone's dead. That's what this roll is supposed to do. But I found myself missing a trait. You see, Zen Moment, despite it giving us incredible stability, I found myself missing a trait that I have become a complete fan of, and that is actually the trait Surplus. Yeah, no lie, guys, this is actually a really good trait. Like, excuse all the theatrics leading up to this point, but if there's anything you could take away from this video, Surplus is a top tier trait. Now, a couple of things that Surplus does. Number one, it increases your handling, reload speed, and stability for each fully charged ability. Now, even though having all of your abilities up does contribute to all of these greatly, something I noticed immediately is its handling, because most of these rapid fire scout rifles have very piss poor handling. Just having one of your abilities up though still contributes to all 3 of these. To me, Surplus and the benefits of handling and reload far outweigh what Zen Moment provides with its bump there in stability. Even when playing with the controller, I felt like this scout rifle with its default stability, especially if you're combining it with something like steady rounds, made this scout rifle plenty steady enough, allowing us to take advantage of Surplus and all its other added benefits. Really, guys, this is a very good trait. Hands down, would choose this over anything else in that column, more than Killing When, more than Zen Moment. Surplus is hands down the better trait. And if you've got certain builds that are constantly refreshing your abilities, and if you're like me in this sandbox where you're really starting to heavily invest in your neutral game abilities, 9 times out of 10, you will always have at least 1 ability on you, if not 2, which will greatly take advantage of Surplus. Again, we're going to individually break things frame by frame in a future video when we go over all these traits. Surplus will be one where we actually will tell you that for each ability, how much added benefit does that net you. So in terms of the God roll, what should you go for? I do want to bring up the recoil direction of this scout rifle is kind of poor at 59. You will have some side-to-side hop there, and it's not the best. I rocked a roll with arrowhead brake, which did kick up the recoil direction to 89, which I felt pretty good with. However, that's completely up to you and what your preference is. Most of the time, though, the more vertical your weapon is, the better. However, I did play with a number of other rolls with nothing there benefiting my recoil direction, utilizing perks like small bore, full bore, all of which still felt just fine, but again, it is more of a preference thing. As for your magazine column, there's 2 different directions I want you to go with this. If you are gonna rock a high impact reserve trait and try to go for those 4 taps, I would actually recommend going backup mag, as there really just wasn't many mods in this category that I felt like was helping me. Like targeting, I know does add on more aim assist, but I didn't necessarily need it. All right, that the weapon had good target acquisition. Counterbalance mod could be a pretty good option for you guys, as it would actually elevate it to 74 recoil direction, which might be vertical enough for you. Although I don't know the deviation between 74, 75, and whether that's a noticeable difference from its default 59. Personally, I would either go accurized rounds or even steady rounds with a backup mag mod, Surplus, and high impact reserves. Now, I did rock Surplus and Wellspring together, which did synergize pretty well. Wellspring actually offers you ability energy upon kills, and it will divide it up between your uncharged abilities. Extremely nice. That in combination with Surplus is great. But we're talking about a high impact reserve trait combo. I would still take high impact reserves and Surplus together. And I know a lot of people are wondering why we aren't focused on Killing When. Trustee is not a push weapon. It is still a scout rifle. It's a lane gun. And a lot of times, you are going to have to be baiting people into your lane. So even if you do get a kill with Killing When, yes, you get that increased mobility, weapon range, and handling, but it's not like a hand cannon. It's not like you can immediately push up and start banging 3 taps through people's spawns. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be pushed up too close to your enemy to begin with if you're playing that aggressively with a scout rifle, which is dangerous territory for any scout, even Trustee. Again, guys, Surplus, high impact reserves was the best combo that I played with today. Whatever you want to do you in that magazine column to elevate your magazine size up to say 20, whether that's with a mag perk or backup mag, choose whatever. That will allow you to get 10 rounds, which should be an easy secure there for 2 kills. And again, as you get deeper into your magazine with high impact reserves, your damage does increase. It doesn't just stay this flat damage amount all the way from 10 rounds to 1. Actually, the final 4 rounds can secure you a kill on Guardians 8 resilience or less. So keep that in mind. The 6 resilience is taking into account the early rounds of high impact reserves. So your weapon actually gets deadlier the further you get into your magazine, which is pretty awesome. Now, the other trait combination that I would recommend for those that don't want to actually prime their scout rifle down and they want to use this rapid fire scout rifle as a rapid fire scout rifle and nothing else, surplus, opening shot, hands down, or surplus wellspring. Either one of those will do you just fine. Opening shot is really nice, especially considering most rapid fire scout rifles do have some level of inaccuracies on the first shot. Although I will say a lot of that has just been fixed due to the scout rifle target acquisition buff in this sandbox. That used to be an issue, a major issue for me. I complained about it a lot, whether it was with Symmetry, Randy, or Black Scorpion. Now though, I don't necessarily think opening shot is all that great, whereas something like surplus wellspring or even surplus high impact reserves would be fantastic for you. You could take advantage of Eye of the Storm, but understand this weapon does have a 0.93 second time to kill value without high impacts. So that means by the time Eye of the Storm actually procs for you, you're probably dead. You know what I mean? Outside of that, guys, this has been a fantastic scout rifle. It intrigues me greatly. For my PvE players, I do need to do some other testing, most notably with redirection. I have actually not tested it, nor have I gotten a single raid weapon with redirection. This has completely eluded me. But if that trait is a great trait, I would say that would be an interesting one. Redirection, surplus, redirection outlaw, or even redirection reconstruction. If you wanted to take an all or nothing approach to PvP though, I want to leave you with one final role. One role that could potentially allow you to always, no matter what, secure the 4-tap. And that's actually under pressure and high impact reserves. I have utilized this combination before on fusion rifles, and I can tell you right now, it's disgusting. Under pressure is a fantastic trait when it's procced, as it boosts the stability and accuracy as the magazine gets lower. So now you have 2 traits, both of which are benefiting you at the bottom end of your magazine. And in this case, you now have an improvement of damage on top of an improvement of stability as well as accuracy. That could be the ultimate trait combination for this scout rifle in elimination game modes. Again, not everybody's going to take advantage of it. Not everybody wants to sit there and prime their weapon down. Kind of takes some thought. Makes you do things before the gunfight even takes place. And of course, what's even more annoying is if you got to get multi-kills, you pretty much got to reload upon getting a kill or at least 2 kills. So peppering enemies is not really an option with something like high impact reserves. But for my players that do take the time to master this, and like I'm really hoping someone here actually wants to master this because it's a beautiful thing. If you master it though, Trustee is going to take care of you. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.